first season of the Shadesong Saga. This last saga is called In the Shadow of Our Pale Companion, and our saga tonight is episode 4, The Coldest Sun. It takes us back several hundred years, over 500 in fact, to the moment right after Oathwind and Shadesong kill each other on the battlefield. The two had been in opposition for a very long time, with Shadesong and his armies spreading death and destruction throughout Eld, and Oathwind and his followers opposing them and attempting to end the Reign of Terror. After one of Shadesong's mages, the sorcerer Anduil, betrayed him, he and his armies were ambushed attempting to storm Oathwind's keep, and they were slaughtered to the last. Pretty exciting for me tonight. I don't know about anybody else, but it's pretty exciting for me because I've been playing in this world for about 3 years now. I've been less than a year on stream, but about 3 years before that. Shadesong has always kind of loomed there over everything. At first, just sort of a little whispered shadow, but then more and more present. And tonight's the first night that we're actually going to see that character. So I'm pretty excited about that. As well as a couple other characters that have been mentioned often and that we had not yet had the opportunity to encounter. You can always check out my website, Bleakseason.com, for all the lore you can handle, as well as summaries of the past sagas. And of course, you can catch up on all of that on our YouTube page. But first and foremost, again, awesome players with me here tonight. Awesome players. I would like you to meet them because they're awesome. They're awesome. Hey, what's up?
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Not
Pretty
too bad.
good.
Yourself?
Amazing.
Amazing. Your voice sounds different somehow. Insomnia. I'm not too sure.
Oh, you mean it's normal for right now? You want me to?
No, that's okay. We'll save it for later. It'll be like a little surprise. Be a little surprise for people. Yeah. So thank you so much. Sorry, I kind of got lost there. Sorry, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. But we go around table as usual. Tell us who you are, what you're doing, where people can find you, what your favorite drink is, and a little bit about who you're playing tonight. And we will start with Beth.
Oh, hi. I'm Beth. I am very excited to be here. I have been doing a couple of the Monday Night Mayhems recently, so we've got a really great fairy tale story happening that the final part is going to be happening on Monday, so definitely check that out because it's a blast. I can be found on social media at Beth Masco, and tonight I will be playing Jadewin, who is a figure of lore in this universe. I'm excited to see what ends up happening.
Super fun to have you again. You played recently in a Shadesong Fargo, and yeah, the Kevin's game that you're playing in right now is like a ton of fun. I've been watching it, and it's really cool. And you and Rachel Marangoli have such great chemistry together. It's a lot of fun to watch that go down. Thank you so much for coming and blessing my game with your presence once more. It's always a great pleasure to have you. Next up, someone making his debut here tonight on the Guild Superior and in Shadesong, but certainly not, a new hand at any of this. The man, the myth, the legend, Insomnia Knight.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Insomnia Knight. I'm a D&D player, a GM. I do more than just D&D. I do several different tabletops. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here and play this game and be a really interesting piece of this lore tonight. I don't want to give away too much about the character. You guys will meet him. He's a big guy. Shadesong did a lot to him. But yeah, you can find me over at Insomnia Knight RPG here on Twitch and Insomnia_RPG on Twitter. I run several different campaigns and we play a lot of different tabletops, running from Call of Cthulhu on Sundays to Savage Worlds on Tuesdays for Deadlands, where you'll see me in a cowboy hat.
Love that cowboy hat. It's always a lot of fun to watch you guys play. It was look like you're having so much fun and just a bunch of friends sort of hanging out and having fun with the game, and that's always a lot of fun to watch. Thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence. Also, you and I have been exchanging back and forth. I know you've been in the chat here a lot, so it's super cool for you to come in and play with us. I appreciate it.
Amazing.
Next, a person who certainly needs no introduction because he has, in fact, appeared the most often in the Shadesong Saga and played the most characters in the Shadesong Saga. The Scoos, what's the news?
Well, that's me. Hello, everybody. I am Scoozy. You can find me at Scooz News on Twitter and stuff. Very curious to see what you find on Twitter because I haven't used it in many, many years. I am very excited to be here tonight, as always. And I will be playing motherfucking Shadesong. And my favorite drink is Aquavit.
Which you
Because
drink
Scandinavian
by the
spirit.
gallon.
Yep. This stuff.
Are we getting kickback money for advertising?
No, I used to work at the place that makes this stuff, so I don't know.
You
They treated
used
me
to.
very well. So
Cool. Hey, super happy again, David. We'll have to sit down at some point and figure out exactly how many times you've appeared, how many characters you've played, but you're definitely the repeat offender of choice. Thanks for being in here with us again tonight, man. I super appreciate it. And finally, but not least, obviously, a good friend of mine, producer here at Guild Superior, the okayest GM, Miko.
Call me Miko. Hi there, everyone. So happy that I get to play in another Shadesong tonight. So happy to be helping round out this amazing cast. Yeah, you can find me on many things. Guild Superior, producing the Monday Night Mayhem here. Go figure, on Mondays. Catch me on Twitter, the socials, _GM. If you ever want to talk about anything D&D, TTRPGs, streaming, AI art, whatever, hit me up. I'm happy to chat, and don't forget about our Discords too, because that's a great place to connect with all of these fine folks as well. Tonight, I will be playing the character of Oathwin, the Paladin of Light, who gave his own life in the death of Shadesong.
Anything worth doing is worth doing well. As my great granddad used to say. Not that I ever met him, but
Or completely.
or completely. Go all out. Go goblin mode. Goblin mode's the new thing, right? Like it's officially in the dictionary now, or it's the term of the year. Just go goblin mode. That's how I do it. Thank you so much, all of you. Super stoked to do this. We're going to get into it very quickly here. I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen with this. Before we go on, I am Bleakseason. You can find me at the Bleakseason on Twitter. Right here every Thursday night. And on Sunday, doing Blade Runner. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the stream. I would like to extend a few more thanks, some shout outs, some people. Big thanks to Andy, my producer here on Shadesong. Also shout outs to Tabletop Audio, Tabletop Audio for the music that you're hearing. My French is like just really coming out tonight, hearing. As well as incredible animated dungeon maps on Patreon. Using a couple more of his maps tonight. Can't stop. Addicted to them. They're super awesome. Special thank you to Dave for overlays, promos, that special Pinewood scent that emanates from all fabled outdoorsmen. Thank you to Ashley on our production team for the promo. Finally, massive thank you to all the members of Superior Adventures Guild in our Discord, playing our games, including our awesome players right here tonight. People in chat, drop by our Discord and make yourself at home. Maybe get into a game or two. Never know what might happen. Crazier things have happened. Or have they? They will tonight for sure. Everybody ready? Everybody ready?
Let's
All right.
do this.
Let us do this. The game begins tonight in a place called Penumbra. Penumbra is, in some ways, the underworld, shadow world of Eld, the world of Shadesong. It is where people go once they die. The gods don't really play much of a role in this world, and so there's no heaven or any of those things. There's just a place where dead souls go and hang out and, continue existing to a certain degree or another. Things, unfortunately, have been a little difficult in Penumbra of late. The place has always been a place where there has to be a certain balance between shadow and light, but of late, light has been devouring the other half of the Penumbra. And so as we meet our first character tonight, Jadwin, as you're wont to do once in a while, you have climbed up on one of the various peaks around the area and are looking out yonder to the edges of this world, because by now you can pretty much see the edges, and what you're seeing is this world of black and white smoke and fog and darkness and shadows, which is the underworld, splayed out at your feet, but also approaching almost visibly so as you sit here and watch it night after night, year after year, is this wall of radiant light on either side of the Penumbra, which is basically slowly squeezing and destroying the Penumbra. People here know that it's something that's caused by this force that's called the ghost light. No one knows where they came from or who they are, but a long, long time ago in time here is very, inconsequential in many ways. It started happening very slowly at first, sort of like, when you have a piece of paper and you put a flame underneath it, and then slowly a little hole starts to burn and then it starts to spread. So it started sort of like that, where these holes of light started to appear through the shadows of this place. And now it's this veritable wall, almost like two curtains that are coming in, just devouring everything. And people have been forced to move away from the towns and the villages at the edges of this world. And as you can see on the map now, this radiant light has started to spread throughout the entire area, so that it's infusing everything. And there's this weird sort of imbalance now between the two. This is a cause for concern, but no one can explain it. No one really knows exactly what's going on. You know that the rulers of this place were these 7 entities called the Shadow Kings, have been trying to find an answer to this, find some sort of solution. There's a lot of rumors of various of these Shadow Kings sort of having gone to other worlds, to other realms, looking for something that would allow them to stop the ghost light from devouring everything in this world, all the souls and all the people that are here. So, Jadwin, as you sit there on this peak and contemplate this and watch this sort of aurora borealis like light sort of just slowly moving towards you, what would people see when they look upon you?
Well, they would see a very sort of stiff figure that has relaxed into a tired pose, quite frankly. She carries a glaive with her everywhere she goes, because it is ethereal by nature and she can sort of make it come and go, but it feels comfortable in her hands. I love the art that we have here. She is dark, and she looks at both in her clothing appearance, but also you can see it a bit in her eyes as well.
And as you sit there looking upon this and sort of wondering exactly what's going to happen to this place, and I mean, you've been here for a while. It seems like the place is getting smaller, it's being devoured, so on and so forth, but it's very difficult to tell how much time has passed, but also how much more time will come. how much more time it will take before it comes around. You hear a voice behind you that says, "It's quite the spectacle, isn't it?"
Suppose you can call it that.
Yes. This short, hunched over little creature comes down and very painfully and slowly and stiffly sits down next to you and puts his staff down across its leg. Makes it hell to try to sleep, though. I mean, there's no curtain in the world that can deal with that.
You're not wrong there. Would Jadwin be familiar with this person, or is this a new face?
No, yeah, you would have certainly heard of them, if not encountered them before. They are one of the Shadow Kings.
Okay.
They're called Serendipity. The thing that is most striking about Serendipity, aside from, the fact that they look like a young Yoda, perhaps, is the fact that they have two eyes, one of which is this sort of dark violet blackish color, and the other one that is a golden radiant color. And around their belts, they have all these little pieces of wood, like little slats of wood, and all of them have characters on them. And the rumor is that all these little slats of wood attached around her that click and clack as she walks around are the true names of various creatures and peoples in the different realms around here that she has managed to wrangle through various dealings that Serendipity has had. And people always talk about how Serendipity shows up just at the best moments, but also at the worst moments, and always there to help or to hinder. And, serendipity.
Well, what do your eyes make of all of this?
It's kind of hard to see. I don't know. Feels like the end of an era. The only thing I know for sure is that, and she gets up slowly. Yeah. The only thing I know for sure is that everything changes. Nothing lasts forever. We had a good run. Maybe it's the end. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
Well, I assume that since you're here, you've got something to say to me. I don't think you really show up without meaning.
Oh, people say all sorts of things about me, but can't I just, want a little bit of company, a little chit chat? We'll get to know you.
I suppose, but I don't know that you've chosen the right person to chat with exactly.
Why not? You seem friendly enough.
Oh, yeah, perhaps you should get those interesting eyes checked.
Look, I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's not really what's on my mind at the moment. I was wondering if you'd take a little walk with me. I might need your help with something.
I suppose so. And she'll sort of stand, and before turning to follow in any way, just take another long look at the changes that she sees over Penumbra, and still wondering exactly what it means.
And almost as if she's reading her mind, she says, we tend to think of light and darkness in terms of good and evil, but good and evil are not found in nature. We'd be better off thinking in terms of light and void, what is and what is not. One only exists if it supersedes the other, but without one, how would we know the other? Balance is important, you see. Light destroys as much as void does. Maybe that's what we're heading for here, some sort of balance. It's been shadowy here for very long.
Perhaps.
All right, come along now. We have a long way to go and I have short legs.
I'll follow.
How long's it been since you've seen one of your kind? I don't think any of them really still exist around there, do they?
Not really.
Well, I'd be interested to find out where they did go. Your people made a great sacrifice, didn't they?
They did. They tried.
Maybe they were rewarded. Maybe their delight that's eating everything. Wouldn't that be a hoot?
It would be.
If so, why are you here?
Well, sometimes things don't go exactly as you plan. I was working towards my goal, and it didn't end well. As you can tell. I mean, I'm here.
Well, it depends. Some people come here because they want to. But less and less, and maybe very rarely, but
I had more to do out there.
Well, you want to talk about coming here against your will? Wait till you meet this guy. As you're walking down further into the mountains, you descend into sort of a little plateau, and you're walking for a while. It could be hours, could be days, could be minutes. Very difficult to tell here. And you walk down into like a little bit of a plateau, and at the other end, there's the foot of a mountain, and you can see the entrance to a cave. And as you approach the cave, you can see light moving inside, like maybe there's a fire pit or something inside, and you can hear mumbling and grumbling, and you can hear the sound of something chiseling away at stone. Best let me do the talking. This one can be a little difficult to deal with. He doesn't always realize exactly what's going on or what's happening, and he's got a bit of a temper. But don't get me wrong, good fella, give you the shirt off his back, not a problem. Just, you got to handle him a certain way.
Sure.
So you approach the entrance of the cave, and as you start walking in, you can see on the walls just various carvings, and many of them appear to be the likeness of a woman and a small child. And as you move further into the cave, and the light from outside sort of dims, you can see that the quality of the carvings starts to it becomes a little bit more less defined, a little bit more sort of brutish and brusque, and you're starting to really at the end kind of just see very, very tentatively the outline of these two people. And as you kind of turn into a corner and walk into this large cave that is decked out with a big bed made out of massive wood, the heads of which are carved into the likeness of like dragon heads, and there's furs sort of all over this bed. There are weapons kind of lined around the wall. A lot of other symbols that you don't necessarily recognize, that you haven't seen, but there is also in the middle of this cave a certain character. And if you would, Insomnia, tell us a little bit what Jadwin sees as she walks into the cave.
As you approach, you see a very large frost giant. But he's been here so long. His face is like sunken in. His beard is just gray. He's very large. His skin is even like a little, not as glowy blue as it should. But he's clad in what would be ceremonial armor that he believes he would be wearing. He is just a very big, brutish, worn down individual over time. You would see that he does keep a very large axe with some runes on it with him. Just as RGM was saying, he's a nice guy, but he's not always sure where he is in time. His memories are fading.
And when he says he's a frost giant, he means that he's
A Jotun. Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally like close to 12 feet tall. And when you walk in this cave, the ceiling of it is really tall. And, you know, if he's like kind of crouching or sitting there, he's just this massive thing. You've never, literally have never seen his like here in Penumbra, or even back in the world. You'd heard of them. You'd heard of the Jotun who lived off in Kettleheim near Yggdrasil in the north, but you'd never seen them. It's pretty impressive. Serendipity's like, how you doing, big boy?
What? Ooh.
Down here.
Oh, yes. You again.
I know. Every 100 years or so, come around, bother you in your cave. Just, I want you to go too lonely here.
I'm the only one here, yeah, I suppose.
She turns to, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, has it been 100 years already?
No, it's 59, but I'm kind of on a mission. She turns to you, Jadwin, and says, poor old First Fallen here, sort of stuck here. His people don't come here, you see, when they die. And he had the unfortunate, a very unfortunate death, and so ended up here. And it's a very sad story, but we really don't have time to get into it right now. So we're just going to kind of gloss over it. And, you know, you two can catch up when you have time, but I got things to get done here. I was wondering, First Fallen, do you have something about her size? Like maybe a kind of weapon you like? Oh, no, you have your glaive, right? That's right.
Mhm.
Sorry, never mind.
He points. She has a weapon. Who is this? Who did you bring in here?
Oh, First Fallen, Jadwin, First Fallen.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Serendipity, what exactly do you need us to do?
Oh, we have a couple people to go get,
Okay.
but they're in a rugged place that no one's ever escaped from. Except for First Fallen here. He got out of there.
Oh.
Yeah. You still have your map of Kursetu?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Well, we're gonna need it.
He'll walk over, and there's like tools and things in a chest. Very old looking. Pops it open, and it's like almost like frozen shut. So it cracks open, and then he pulls out a map. And if you were to look at it, Jadwin, you wouldn't really understand it. It looks like scribbles, and it's hard to read. It even with things that you think were mountains look like just odd scratches.
Oh yeah, that I can see it clearly now.
You can read this?
No, I can't. That's why I need you. But before we go on, I'm gonna need something from you. So can you lean down here? I'm gonna tell you something.
He'll get down and kneel. As he does this, gets down on one of the knees, the cave kind of shakes.
So she
What
goes
is
up
it?
to your ear and does not at all speak any less loud than she was speaking before. All right. So I may be able to promise you something. That if you come with me and help me, one of the people we're about to go get might have the power to send you to the proper afterlife, the one where your people are.
I
But
won't be stuck here anymore?
no, you can go and rejoin your people, see your family. you should know it's been quite a while back where you come from. So a few generation of your family have come and gone, but you should be able to find them there if you want.
Would I be returning to my proper afterlife or back to
You would be going.
to the
Yes.
it's been I haven't even thought about it in so long.
She goes over to
Memories.
one of the nearest carvings on the wall and she touches it, and you can see it sort of become almost an animated, very good carving rendition of your wife and daughter, and they just move a little bit. You can see them again.
I would want that more than anything.
Okay. But I'm going to need you to make me a promise. And in order to make sure you keep that promise, I'm going to need you to tell me your real name.
I tell her.
She takes a little piece of wood, scribbles on it. All right. You realize that now I'm going to ask a promise of you. And you can't break it. It's very important. Okay?
I understand.
You cannot harm in any way, shape, or form, either by deed or by withholding a deed, the people that we're going to go rescue. Do you
My kind have never harmed anyone. We yes,
You swear?
I swear.
Swear again.
I swear again.
All right, you've sworn 3 times. I have your name. Grab whatever you want to bring with you. Leave the rest here.
Suppose just the map and my axe. Jaywin, you're welcome to gather anything that you may need here, though it might be a bit too large for you.
I think I'm all right with what I've got, but I appreciate that. Well, Serendipity, I think we should just be on our way. I'm sort of getting a lot of half answers and let's figure this out.
My way. What do you want to know? All right, let's go do this. So the place where we're going is a pretty crappy place as she starts walking. It's very important to know that once you go there, you can't come out. There's only one person that's ever gotten out of there without, the lords of the place being okay with it, and it was First Fallen. And no one knows how he did it, but he did. Probably because he really didn't belong there. In any case, if we follow his indications, we should be able to get out of there. But it's a weird place. It's a little dangerous. Just be on your guard. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
All right.
All right. So she'll take off walking, and you'll follow her for a while. And she's going to head off into the mountains where there's a big tower that is called the Alabaster Tower. It's this big white tower that stands right at the top of the tallest peak in Penumbra. And again, days, minutes, who knows how long it takes. But you make your way there and eventually climb to the top of the tower. And when you arrive at the top of the tower, what you had always thought was kind of a light, maybe like it was some sort of lighthouse or kind of thing, turns out to be the sort of dark red shimmering portal that's just sort of standing there. And as you approach it, there's sort of vague feeling of despair kind of washes over you a little bit. Like you can almost feel hope physically leave your body and sort of start to evanesce off into nothingness. And Serendipity says, don't let it get to you. The place, it really works on your noggin. It really tries to do a number on there. You gotta, and I think maybe that's why First Fallen managed to get out there, because she looks up at him. She goes, But it really works on that. And that thing can turn against you and be your worst enemy. So you really have to focus.
Okay.
Okay? You gonna be okay there, big fella?
You realize I can hear everything that you're saying, correct?
Everybody from miles can hear everything that I'm saying.
Right.
That's right.
You know, I'll look at Jadewin and just don't let it get to you.
I won't.
Since you're the biggest, the bravest, the boldest, lead on.
Always with the compliments. And I lead on.
You walk through. Meanwhile, on the other side of this portal, in a place covered in white dust, where the trees are bare, black, crooked, where the river that runs straight through the land is a river of blood, where the mountains in the distance are shrouded by the smokes from the burning fields just beyond them. You arrive in a crooked, dense, desiccated forest, which you, First Fallen, recognize from your first time here as the Withersoul Woods. As you step through into this world and look at the trees around you, the first thing you notice is that these trees all have faces. And when you take a closer look at them, they almost appear to be people that have been twisted into these crooked, tree-like shapes. Their faces are all masks of despair and pain. The air around you is just this thick miasma that smells of despair, really. This place just feels oppressive. And in the sky, even though everything around you is lit in this stark white light that hurts your eyes, in the sky, where the sun would be, is a black globe that hangs right up there in the middle, never moving, never changing. This unblinking black eye that just forever oppresses everything below it with its blinding light. Off in the distance, you see a large keep, the color of flesh, and off near that, a bridge that spans this red bloody river. Serendipity says, "Well, I wouldn't build a summer home here, that's for sure."
It wasn't that bad. It's just, I think the trees were the people who gave up here.
Well, it's what this place is made for, so.
Yeah, I tried not to stay around long enough to find out. This is not my death place. This is not where I should be.
It's not anyone's death place, really. It's the place where the really bad people come to suffer for a while.
Maybe that's why they...
No, I think it was just a clerical error that got you here the first time. I mean, I looked into you. It doesn't seem to me like you were too bad of a giant. So, I don't know. I think they just didn't know where to put you. And you're pretty big, so they thought, put him there.
Sure. Clerical error.
Happens all the time. This place of bureaucracy is a nightmare. Anyways, come on, we gotta go get a few people. And so she starts moving through this place. It's somehow hot and cold at the same time. It's always super bright. The dust is getting in everywhere, in your clothes, in your nose, in your mouth, in your eyes constantly. everything about this place is oppressive and annoying as much as it can be. There are little insects that are buzzing around you all the time, and then when you swat at them, you don't see them, but you hear them. Then you look around, and it's just constantly this just nightmare being around here. And as you walk through this Withersoul Woods, she's going around from tree to tree and looking at the different faces. At some point, you're like, ha, I remember you. And then she moves on, and then she'll go around to a couple of them. And then she'll go, maybe they're near the newer ones over there. And she'll start walking towards where the bridge is. Miko and Scoos, there's just this sort of void. I always say this to people, and usually 90% of people look at me like I'm the craziest guy in the room, and the other 10% nod in deep understanding. But have you ever laid there in bed at night and just tried to imagine you didn't exist? Like that void feeling that you get, right? You're sort of feeling there right now. You're kind of experiencing nothingness, but you actually experience it. It's not the great nothingness of rest. It's an oppressive nothingness. The last memory that you have is looking at each other on this battlefield, both of you dying, having a brief conversation. You don't really remember what it was that was said, but then one after the other, very quickly, you died. And then there's just this kind of oppressive nothingness for the longest time. And what's annoying about this nothingness is that you, around the edges of it, you still experience it. And as you're coming to now, I'm not sure how long you've been this way, if it's been days or years or eons, you hear voices very distantly. And you especially, Othwin, hear a voice coming through that sounds very familiar to you. You can't hear the words, you can't hear the voice per se, but there's the timbre of it, the quality of that voice is one that brings you comfort. And that in this place is literally like having someone play a gong right next to your ear. This note of comfort, of something pleasant, brings you this minute amount of hope. And as this minute amount of hope cuts through everything else, it blossoms into you. And as the two of you, Jadwin and First Fallen, are walking, you see one of these trees start to sort of untwist and kind of unfurl and sort of open up. And this figure slowly drops out of it and splays out onto the ground. What do they see, Othwin?
So as Othwin collapses onto the ground, still obviously in an extreme state of disorientation, you can see the pale lavender-like skin, similar to Jadwin's, shortly cut, but a bit rough around the edges, white, somewhat gray, mostly white hair, a tattered and beaten breastplate and clothes, as if he had just gotten done with a war at some point before his demise, and the piercing amber color of his eyes just blossoming in the light as he is blinking slowly, trying to look around and gauge what has transpired that has brought him out of the nothingness that he was seemingly becoming accustomed to.
As he stirs and starts to stand up, Jadwin, you recognize him as your long-lost brother, Othwin, whom you haven't seen in Lord knows how long at this point, and you can almost barely recognize him as you see him. It's so improbable to run into him here and now.
I think there's a couple of moments where Jadwin feels like this is a trick, and this is one of the things that is meant to oppress me and feel just hopeless and sad. But then sort of begins to realize that it's too real and it's not just in my head. And she'll go up and kneel beside him. Oathwin? Is it you?
His eyes are slowly coming into focus as if he hears your voice before he can actually see you, and says, "No, sister, clutches his head for a moment, trying to shake whatever had him out. And his eyes come into focus, and he sees Jadwin in front of him, and slowly a smile starts to come across his face, and you can see his eyes beginning to redden, as if burning from about to cry, and he gawks for several moments, seemingly unable to find words, before just reaching out a hand towards her face, almost hesitating as if it can't be real.
I wish I could say that it's good to see you, but if you're here, then it's not all good. What happened?
Looking around, still seemingly confused.
If he's here, he died.
Very, very good deduction. Smarter than you look.
The last thing that I remember was feeling my blade running him through. Finally. And then he reaches a hand down to his side, just below his heart. And there's a gash in his armor still present. Before I felt his blade kissing me. But I saw whatever sense of life there was in him go. I felt it go. And that allowed me to release myself, knowing that he died as well.
She'll put her hand over your armor where the gash is, and sort of from her previous life, just sort of try to feel the energy pass through to heal you in some way. Whether or not that works, it's just instinct at this point.
Yeah, just the sort of feeling of hope that of you being there and being near him and touching it, all that, like that in itself is enough to sort of bolster him a little bit, and you can see that he regains a little bit of strength.
I have long missed the light that you carry within you.
This is
Very touching.
Thank you.
So many emotions.
I know, right?
In this moment, Jadwin gets sort of a surge of that really difficult, the grief of failure that is absolutely amplified by being in this place. However, it's not new to her. She thinks about all of the work that she did and nothing came of it, and she is a failure. Doesn't just feel like one, but she also sees her brother and somehow it's sickening, the feelings that she has, and then this one bright spot just coming together all at once. Very overwhelming.
Warms the cockles of the heart. This next meeting, however. All right. You guys can
I
catch
wish
up
I
later.
could meet my family, even if it wasn't here, I guess.
Well, if you keep your promise. Now, where's that tree? If you're here, the other husband, she goes around, finds the other trees, and goes, "Oh yeah, I think this is him. Is this him? I don't have my glasses." She pokes the tree with the stick. Scoos, inside the tree, you're very displeased because all you wanted, you remember the last thing you wanted was just peace and quiet. You were just tired of everything. You were tired of all of it. You really just wanted to find a bit of peace and quiet, some rest. And that's really not what you got. And not only is it not what you got, now there's this incessant buzzing, this incessant feeling next to you. And as Othwin has been released from the tree and he comes close to his sister and the hope there is lost, to you, it's like you're in a dark room and there's a hole in the curtain and the sunlight's coming right through it and it's poking you right in the eye. And you can just feel it. You can just feel that there's this something going on there. There's just this unfinished business. And as you start to kind of fight against your bonds, and outside you can see the tree is starting to kind of move and bulge, and the branches are kind of creaking and kind of folding. Serendipity turns to look at First Fall and goes, "Remember what you promised." And
You seem so concerned.
well, you're going to be concerned in a minute too. And as the tree starts to sort of unfurl, sort of like it did with Oathwind a moment ago, this pale shadow just slowly slips out of it and slowly just falls down on the ground. And it is literally like a shadow. And as much as you can look at each other and you are all pale representations of what you normally is, this one is even paler, even more shadowy. And First Fallen, you don't know who this is, you don't know what his name is, you just know this is the fucker that killed you.
You brought me to the one who took away everything?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I need you to get out of here.
But why do you need this one? How is this one going to help?
He's
I
not
couldn't-
going to help.
He's not going to help, then why are we here?
It's a bit complicated, but
Uh,
me and the other Shadow Kings got together and we talked about these two being here, and we're really not interested in either of them being here. So we'd really like for them to leave. And the best way to do that is to walk them out of here. And then once we're back in Penumbra, we can send them back. But no one wants them here. These two, they're just going to upset everything.
Can I pick him up with one hand?
You can.
So I'm going to pick you up. Excuse.
And as you pick
Honestly.
them up, can you give us a little bit of an idea, Scoos, what we see?
Yeah, so along with this very sort of even ash gray, there are whatever color is in this place. It just sort of, as your focus draws in on this being, it just sort of, it's more monochromatic. It's grayscale, and there's like still a heavy hood sort of drawn over. just shredded cloak. Whatever armor is there is sort of just kind of held over a frame. The pale is almost like a mist that sort of emanates from him over the ground and over your hands as you pick him up. And the face has, both being cloaked by the hood, just almost like indistinct, featureless. There's some shadows that work there, but any glimpse that you see of the face, it doesn't. It's as if you are remembering something from your childhood, and there's like an adult face in the background. Like you don't. It doesn't look like anything except for something that you remember. But it's obscured, and he doesn't move. He just is limp.
Do you have anything to say for what you've done?
Which thing did I do this time?
Probably don't even remember. Do you not recognize me?
And you'll see the face kind of turn towards you and some eyes open and just black and white. No, who the fuck are you?
I'm just gonna look at Serendipity and
Remember your promise. If you hurt him, he's the one who put you here. He's the one who can release you.
he has the power to do this?
He does. That and a whole lot more, but he does.
And he has no idea even who I am.
Well, you know, a man eats soup all his life. He eventually doesn't remember the first bowl of soup, no matter how good it was. She turns over to Jadwin. See, a long, long time ago, this one killed that one. Very long time ago. And she turns back to you and goes, he put you here. He can get you out. But we're going to need you to get out of here to begin with.
The emotions of what I said earlier are no longer sadness or the love that I saw between these two. I am not only angry, I'm frustrated, and I feel betrayed by you, Serendipity, but an escape is an escape. I will have to think. I'll put Shadesong down.
Can I go back to wherever it is that I just was? Can you all do this by yourselves? You seem pretty capable.
If I have to suffer, you get to suffer.
It's not going to be a problem, is it? She looks at okay.
You don't know suffering.
Oathwin stands up fully, still trying to comprehend everything that has been going on around him, comes around from behind Jadwin so that Shadesong can see him. I succeeded. Your life, I felt it go. Turns and looks at the short companion of Jadwin and the First Fallen. You look like you know a few things. Can you please explain this for me?
I explain everything. On the road. Come on, let's start walking. We got a long way to go. You want to get out of here?
I don't know where he is. And
So-
I yet do not know if what you seek will actually... No, I will not take a step until you explain. At least to some level of satisfaction.
You should explain.
All right. So look, none of you should be here. None of you. Why you're here, I don't know. I know a lot of things. I don't know everything. I'm working on it, but right now I don't know everything. Come back to me in a few thousand years. Now, what I do know is that you shouldn't be here, and not only shouldn't you be here, a couple of you, the people in charge, don't want you here. These two, and she points to Jadwin and First Fallen, they're all right. They don't make too many waves. But the two of you, we really don't need what you bring here. We got enough problems already. So I've been tasked by my brethren, the Shadow Kings, to lead you out of here. Now, this is a mercy that they're showing you. It's really not often that they allow people who have crossed into Penumbra to go back home. The problem is that you're not in Penumbra. You're in Kursetu, which is where people go to, be tortured a little bit before they're moved on to the other place. So we need to accelerate that process and walk our way out of here, which we can do with my friend here because he has a map, because he's done it before, because he doesn't look like much, but he's actually very brave.
What do you
I
mean I
know-
don't look like much?
Don't take offense. I'm just trying to summarize the whole thing here. All right. So I know you got beefs. I know you got problems with each other. You can put them aside for a little while. We can get out of here. You can go back to your world, and then you can keep on killing each other like civilized people. And maybe this time when you do, you'll go where you're supposed to go and not come
Where-
here.
Where am I supposed to go?
I have no clue. Just not here. Look. Let me explain. No. That'll take too long. Let me sum up. You have to go.
Well, why
There
doesn't he belong here?
This is the place where people
You said
I go.
we're bad people. Go.
He's not
He's not. What?
bad per se. Look, he did you wrong. He did you wrong. I totally.
Well,
No
what about
problem.
that one? And I point to Oathwind.
Well, he kind of had it coming. They've been at each other for a long while. She looks at you. Remember what we were looking at before we came here?
Yes.
I was looking at Jadwin. Sorry. Jadwin, remember what we were looking at before we came here? Well,
Yes.
that's what they've been doing, but somewhere else.
Oh.
And just not here. And are they bad? What's bad? You know? Things die. Everything dies. She points at Shadesong. That's what he does. Now, maybe he precipitated it for some people, but But that's what happens. People are born and then they live and then they die. That's the normal cycle of thing. The sun rises and then sets and then the moon follows. Speaking of which, as she's talking and says that, Shadesong, when you look up, you notice that there is this black sun that's hanging up in the sky. And you are well aware that in Eld, the world where you come from, you and your followers have always been able to see a black moon that was hanging in the sun and in the sky at night. And only the people that were marked by you could see this. And it was kind of a sign of your power. And this black sun that's up there looks very, very similar to that black moon that you could see in the other world. So look, my answers are not going to satisfy you. All right. You all got anger issues. You all got things All I'm saying is that this place is death. Penumbra. He is death. He can't be there. And we got enough problem with the light. We don't need him. And she points at Othwin here either. Look, you should be happy. We're kicking you out. Usually people come here, that's all they want is to get back out. That's what we're going to
Would
do.
you know what anybody wants when they arrive here? Did you arrive here?
It's a little bit, hazy. It was a very long time ago. Look, I get it. You're discombobulated. Go ahead.
Shadesong just turns around and like just laughs like up at this black sun. And then kind of turns around and holds his arms up and this is your place. Show us around, I guess. And he glares at, like he looks at Othwin with like, for a second, like the last thing that Shadesong remembers is closing his eyes after that blade pierced him. And just a brief exchange of words. But he, like, you can watch the recognition dawn. Like at first he doesn't even recognize you because it just sort of, there's like a cloud of haze and memory. And then he like looks at you and his eyes kind of widen and he like just cracks just a whisper of a smile and
look, I am not certain exactly what is going on here. In fact, I am very much confused about all of this. But if you are offering him, and Othwin points at Shadesong, a path back to the world in which he has caused so much death, I will oppose you.
Okay. There's not much you can do about it. You want to stay here, you're welcome to stay here. But he's going to be going back. And would you rather he goes back without you being there to, You see that? She points up at I saw you looking at it. You can see it in the other world, right?
yes, it's one of the only things that's constant.
That right there is the coldest sun. And the reason that you can see it in the other world is because you exist in that other world and here at the same time. You channel this place. That's whoever you are, wherever you come from, your role is death. It is not a role that a king has given you. It is not a role that your parents or society has given you. It is the role that the universe has given you. You can't be here. You have to be out there. Your world will suffer if you are not there. There has to be an ending. If there is no ending, there is no point.
Say that again. Say that last part.
If there is no ending,
there is no point.
There is no point.
There is no point.
So you must be there in one way or another.
Othwin steps over to Jadewin, turning his back to Shadesong, and turns his head ever so slightly to lock eyes with her. I have missed you a lot in these days. I am feeling a bit lost now. I don't know anymore. If what this being says is true, is our presence so harmful to this place? Is any of this making any sense to you at all?
Very much of it does not make sense. You sort of get used to that feeling here, or there, I suppose. This is not a place that you want to be, brother. And I can't imagine turning down an opportunity to leave it.
Turns back towards the others. Very well then. But once I will go where Jadwin leads. And he just steps just around behind her shoulder for her to take the lead.
I'll follow serendipity.
She looks at First Fallen. Lead on, big boy.
Very well.
You coming, Death?
Yes. I woke here. I'd rather go back to sleep, but it seems the only way to do so.
Well, who knows? Day's young. Maybe you'll get what you want anyways. So you start walking, and you're heading towards that bridge. As you're going there, you see here and there shades sort of just floating through. They look something like this. And they're just kind of floating through, cutting in front of you, going around you. They don't seem to notice you or anything, but you see easily a few hundred of them throughout this weird, strange land. As always, you feel that oppressiveness of hopelessness kind of going along. All these shades look exactly the same, but when they pass near you, you hear sounds like of conversations, of people talking to lovers, of people talking in anger, of children laughing, of someone teaching someone something, of someone fighting. You hear echoes of their lives as they sort of just float on by. And as you're walking towards the bridge, she never really shuts up, Serendipity. She's saying, look, we got our hands full here dealing with the ghost slide and every other thing. You got to understand, it's not that we really care so much what's happening to your world, but you got someone there right now. And most of you are probably not aware of this because she kind of comes on the scene a little bit after you're all dead. But there's this one called Fugue who's there right now. She's on some sort of rampage, doing something. And she just doesn't seem like a one world conquered is all I need kind of freak. So now, as we can understand it, in the medley, is very little. She doesn't really show up and adhere to any sort of way of thinking that any of us would understand. The problem we have is not so much what this Fugue wants, because I don't think Fugue wants anything. It's just acting according to its nature. This thing's nature seems to be to create world without color, without passion, without desire. just a world of docile, accepting gray beings that feel nothing, want nothing, simply exist. This fugue doesn't understand passion. Life and death, you see, are two of the greatest generators of passion, the two extremes, you could say. Fugue seems really intent on replacing these two aspects of existence with its own gray, dull unlife. And now the job was done for her with death, because you're here. But life still remains out there. It's very metaphysical. But as with everything else, where enough people believe, things take shape. We think that it's very important that you return there and impede her, stop her plans.
So you want to send this one back to stop this fugue?
Well, it's not that we want to send him back so that he stops her, but it's kind of just what's got to happen. The world can't function without death in it. It just breaks the entire machinery down. You need to have that balance. Right now, there's only life. Tell me, Shadesong, when you were cavorting around, killing all these people in the other world, you never stopped to notice how for every one you killed, 10 more sprung up? Like it was just this wave? That's what unchecked life is. And the worlds are not meant to withstand that. There has to be a balance in there. And without you there, that aspect of things, this life is just going to overtake everything. The same way the light's eating up everything up in Penumbra right now. There's an imbalance somewhere that we haven't been able to figure out. If there was just death, it'd be the same thing. It'd be catastrophic. There'd be nothing left, just dust everywhere. Look at this place. But with just life, it's not much better. And I don't know if that means anything to you, that there's still life out there, but...
So what you're saying is that they're an essential antithesis, that in order for everything to strike balance, these two together have to go back.
Don't you find yourself being sort of listless these days, Jadwin? Like,
Yes.
you wake up in the morning, do you feel the urge to do anything? The urge to accomplish anything? The urge to create anything? The urge to love, to hate?
There's nothing to love here.
This place will do that to you, but it's normal. This is what this place is supposed to be. It's how it's supposed to function. People are given a gift to live in a place like Eld, where you come from, to enjoy these things, to enjoy love, to enjoy anger, to enjoy working hard, to enjoy happiness. The rest, everything that comes after, is kind of boring and dreary and unending. People get this one chance to really enjoy things, to really enjoy life, to live something meaningful. And between death no longer being a factor, this fugue person, this gray shadow hanging over everything, that's all it's going to do, is rob these people. And I find that kind of unfair. You don't get a lot of chances. You, I, we're all a little bit different. We're all permanent, part of the cycle, but these mortals, that's literally all they have. They have whatever they can get for themselves between that first scream and that last one that they give. And in the grand scheme of things, that thing is infinitesimal. And I find that them being robbed of it is a grave injustice. And so if I have to kick your asses to get you back out there so you do something about that, or at least give it a chance. How many of you can say you truly lived when you were there? Oathwin, what'd you spend most of your life doing? Chasing that one. And that one. What'd you spend your life doing? Just trying to kill everyone? The hell's that? And you burying yourself in a mountain.
Wait. I may not remember much of who I was, but I had a life. I had a family, a child, a wife.
Yeah. Yours is the greatest injustice of all, First Fallen. Because you were doing what you were supposed to be doing.
I was protecting Yggdrasil.
And this one
My
came along
memories.
like a shadow and cut it out from under you. And he doesn't even realize. He doesn't even remember it.
I didn't even see him until it was too late for me to attempt to protect myself. You just left my body there. But now, listening to you and everything about this feud, you make it sound like that is worse than him. That, like, what happened to me needed to be done.
Let me put it this way, First Fallen. Imagine what happened to you happening to you, but imagine that leading up to that, you never got to experience the love of your wife, the laughter of your children, getting drunk with your friends, seeing the beauty of Yggdrasil as it reaches up into the sky. Imagine that what happened to you happened, but before that was just a world of gray ash that tasted like nothing, smelled like nothing, looked like nothing.
There would be no point.
At least you have some memories left. You would have none.
True.
An empty sky. That is what she wants. For reasons.
Let's continue. Being here is only going to make all of us feel worse in this.
I know I'm feeling worse. Can you tell us what it is we got to do? Come on, pull out your little map there. What's the first thing?
Oh, jeez. All right. According to my little map thing, let's see. We need to get to the bridge.
Yeah, we're on it. Buddy.
Well, we cross it. There should be a door. Let's see. Oh yes, we have to go to the Dreaming Peaks. That's the door to the Dreaming Peaks, I believe.
We just head there. Do we need anything before we get there?
Sorry, my scribbles.
So do you need some reminder?
No, I got it. Yes, we're gonna need the Flames of Lamentation. Lamentation. There's some town. I believe it's gonna be. We're gonna cross the bridge. Oh God! When I was coming through here, it was on the left. I don't know if this place shifts. There'll be a little town called Lament. Within there, at the foothills of the mountain, there are these flames that we need to get. It's haunted. My memory, it's hard. There's dark memories of those who. This place is no fun, I tell you. It's full of dark memories, and just bad things, but we need to get flames there. And at the same time, we need to travel over. Let's see, there's an orchard. It's going to be before the gate. It's a small dead orchard. And we need to get some water from there. The water of drought. It's the orchard of drought. We need to get the water from there too. And then once we get up into there, we're going to we need to open the door with the flames. So we put the flames with the brazier, and then we need to extinguish the flames with water of drought.
My head's spinning. Holy.
What, too much for you?
First time.
How did I figure all that? You know, I was here for a long time, kind of wandering about because I don't belong here. I just look at Sage Song and just kind of make that very...
Feels like busy work to me. I'm wondering if it's not just a way to keep us here longer.
I mean, if it's not meant for most to never leave, why would they make it easy? If it was just like, oh, here's the gate, here's an exit, that was never the case here. There's a process.
All right, well, let's jump through the hoops, I guess. Let's try to make it quick and get out of here before too many of them notice we're here.
Before we leave this place, do you shepherd those who arrive here often? Have you encountered
No.
just the important ones?
Sure.
And he bows a little bit. You say that life remains where we are from. Did she ever come here?
Not to my knowledge. It's going to need a while to process that one. Let's head into that city and see if we can find some flames of, what did you call them?
Lamentation? Lamentation?
Lamentation. Oh, that's cheerful.
I mean, look around.
This place could use a little sprucing up, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, aren't you one of the ones in charge? Can you do that?
Oh, no. I live next door. This has nothing to do with me. You don't want to talk to the people who run this place. So I'm saying we should get out of here.
Right, just before there's more clerical errors.
That's right. So you will head up towards the town of Lament, which is just up there on the left. But before we get there, I would propose that we take a short break and refresh ourselves and wrap our heads around the weird metaphysical action that's been going on. And when we return, we shall enter the town of Lament and see what we find there. I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Beautiful.
Everything is fine. Everything is fucking fine.
It's gonna be
It's
great.
all fine.
It's going to be wonderful.
Just gotta say, Christian, it is so friggin' hard right now to role play anything serious with you literally playing my grandmother.
She's a fine lady. I never met her, but she seems like a fine lady. All right, we'll take a 5-minute break. Hang out with us, please. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. See you in a bit. Oh, hey. We're back. It's just my awesome players and Miko's grandmother traipsing through purgatory. You know,
I swear it's my grandmother, dude. I wish to God I had like recordings of her I could put on right now because you sound just like her. You're acting just like her. It's crazy.
I'm just doing the universal grandmother thing, and I think it kind of covers a lot of bases.
You should play that in like a game. Just like I'm just Miko's grandmother.
Next time I do a one shot somewhere. Thank you for hanging out with us, everybody. Super glad you
Making me
did.
cry.
We're gonna continue. We're gonna continue on our way here towards the city of Lament with my wonderful players. So just brief recap. Both Jadwin, played by Beth, and First Fallen, played by Insomnia here, have been recruited by one of the Shadow Kings named Serendipity to travel to the Purgatory, basically this underworld called Kursetu, to retrieve two people, namely Shadesong, played by Skoos, and Oathwind, played by Miko, and help them escape Purgatory because they're not supposed to be there. And so they are currently on their way to try and cross this inhospitable land and make their way out of here to Penumbra, the underworld, where from there the Shadow Kings can return these people to the land of the living. First Fallen, being one of the few people who has managed to escape this place, already has a little map and a bit of a formula to escape from here. And then the first thing on this map that he has right there, look how awesome it is that they need to get the Flames of Lamentation from a town called Lament. And it's here on the map over there on the left of the bridge. And so as the four of you, or the five of you with Serendipity, approach the city, you see this city, the buildings are made of like this white stone. There's white sand everywhere up to about halfway through the doors. Like the city has been kind of partially buried in this sand. There really doesn't seem to be any life as you approach it. And it's kind of like the city's built around this kind of inner courtyard. As you approach, Serendipity says, all right, well, nip in there and get the flames and come back out. I'll wait for you here. Go ahead. You can do it.
Me? Us? Now?
All of you, yeah. Sure.
You're
go
not coming?
Oh, no. I've been there before. I'm okay.
All right. Looks up at the giant fallen one. You've gotten these before, right?
Yes.
Point the way and I will happily lead. And
I'll take the front if that's okay. I don't want you. You just woke up, it seems.
I mean, I died once. It doesn't seem to have really done much.
If you really wish to lead, go ahead. We must go through here, and he points to one of the alleys that aren't so sunken in, covered in sand.
Just keep pointing the way and I'll happily take front. And Oathwind kind of steps forward and he goes and reaches for his shield instinctively and realizes that it's not there and seems confused for a moment as it just like manifests on his arm with a sword at his in its sheath on his hip. Very confused and like takes steps forward as if he has a purpose and understands at least something about a task and sets to doing that task.
Jadwin follows immediately behind him, if not sort of trying to edge along to be beside him, but she's not going to be far from him ever.
So you just ran, but like by my legs and almost tripped me. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And just lead the way. You know where you're going.
I mean, I suggested that you point the direction.
I'm pointing. It's
good
right,
enough.
Right, it's right there. Like right back there. We just got to keep going. Just And if you see something, just don't lock eyes with anything. It's weird.
That's a fair warning. Glad you mentioned it.
So you make your way into the city, and as I was mentioning, the place is kind of this large inner courtyard, and everything is covered in this white, sort of ashy sand that's clinging to the walls, all over the ground, sort of everywhere. As you step into the sort of main courtyard, you notice at one end of it, there's this flame that's burning in a kind of little brazier on the ground. There doesn't seem to be anybody here, although all of you can hear voices and sounds as you walk into this sort of inner courtyard area. You can hear distant the sound of children laughing. You can hear the voice of people talking. You can hear the sounds of people going about their business. Maybe in the distance, there's a little bell that's ringing. You can hear horses walking by, people talking. So, Jadwin, as you step through here, the smells and the sounds that you get are very reminiscent of the last place that you lived, the underground city in the mountain, where your race, the Aesir, had buried itself alive to prevent the necrophage, which was in your blood but wouldn't kill you, but could be transmitted, from escaping. And you spent several hundred years as a community in these underground cities that you built, just basically waiting to die out and hoping that no one would find you when you got there. And the smells and sounds and things that you hear here bring you back there instantly. And you, as you're starting to cross this courtyard, you see people that you recognize. The voices people are talking, they're speaking Assyrian, and you can see the ghosts of people that you remember from back in the day. And as you do that, you feel very keenly the weight of the decision that your people took after destroying part of the world to try and get rid of this necrophage and not being able to, and then making that ultimate sacrifice. And eventually down the line, you feel perhaps being kind of a meaningless one. And that sort of settles in on you as you hear all these voices, and you're certain that some of the voices that you're hearing you recognize as being people sort of that you know. And Oathwin, you're feeling something similar as you walk in here. You get a sense of being back in the courtyard of your keep, and seeing and hearing all these people, these thousands of followers that you had, all these people that had abandoned their lives, their homes, to travel halfway across the world and come join you in this crusade that you had against Shadesong. All these people who, most of them ended up dying at the end in that battle against him. And again, you feel as if you're transported into that moment in time, that last moment before the battle, when you were in this courtyard addressing all these people that had just basically come across the world to die for you because they believed in you and they believed in the things that you said and what you stood for. Shadesong, as you step in here, you are assaulted with a cacophony of sounds. Every single person that you've killed or had a hand in killing over the years, you can hear their voices reverberating in this courtyard, and you can distinctly hear each and every last one of them. It's just this maddening kaleidoscope of voices and sounds of all these people whose lives you ended throughout your several hundred years reign of terror. And first fallen, as you step in here, it's very quiet. The first time you came in here, it was very horrible. You could hear the sounds of your family crying out your name, crying out for you. You could hear them sobbing as you never returned home, wondering where you were. But this time, it's quiet. You just hear the wind whistling through this place, feel it, and hear it kind of skittering over the sand a little bit.
Would I remember that? So I can maybe explain to them that this place is going to do that to them?
Yeah, they all seem kind of very like somewhere else right now, like they're looking around themselves and kind of like reacting to noises and sounds that
Yeah. So with that, I will attempt to get each of their attentions, and like Jadewin, I will put my hand gently onto her. It's a very big hand, and I'm not meaning to hurt you or anything. And what you are hearing is not there. It's playing games with you. Remember, this place is trying to not just physically but mentally break you down. And then I'll look at Oathwin, and I don't know what you are experiencing, and I understand that you have just woken. But it's this entire place is to. Its aim is to end you, physically and mentally. Stare into this one that you care about, and focus. Use her as a focus. Then I'll look at Shadesong, and I am not sure how I can assist you, but pay attention to my voice, and don't listen or look at the things that are existing here. It is only trying to stop you.
You can see Shadesong is like, at first kind of shakes his head, and and then you see this like look of focus and intent, like he's listening for something specific in this cacophony of voices. Liam, do I hear Liv's voice in this?
You hear Liv's voice in every other voice that you hear, and it's kind of like it starts with her voice and then it becomes this voice of whoever you heard. So you can always kind of hear her voice and then it fades away, sort of just taken over by all this death and all this pain and misery.
Oh, yeah, okay. He first Fallen, you see him kind of look at you, and like it just kind of like shocked, and kind of just you get the briefest of nods, like he's overwhelmed right now.
Right. If you have something there, use it as a focus and hang on to it. I don't know if you've ever loved or felt anything.
Ooh.
But use it. Pull from deep inside, like I had to. All of you. The flames are not far.
The last voice that you hear, Shadesong, is First Fallen's voice. You hear him say, "I was simply admiring the beauty of the mountain and the sun setting behind it." And when he says it, you look at him and you realize his lips weren't moving. It wasn't him.
Yeah, First Fallen, if we're still looking at each other, you see like this flash of recognition. Like he looks at you for the first time, and he just kind of like, he actually takes you in and he nods a second time, but this one is like directly to you. He's like acknowledging you. And he just keeps listening for your voice is the one that he's going to focus on, because the other ones bring him too much grief, because they all start with hers.
Come. Let us continue onward.
First Fallen's voice resonates and kind of cuts through a little bit of this din that you're hearing, and you can kind of start seeing clearly again around you, and you can sort of kind of, can steel yourselves and move through this place. You can still hear the echoes sort of caroming off the walls in here, but it seems to be less now, as long as First Fallen in his really deep, rumbling voice that, as a Jotun, his voice is really the voice of the land. His voice is really the voice of nature, of the world, that you come from beneath your feet, and you can kind of feel all of that at the same time. You can hear the mountains and the lakes and the birds and the wind through the trees in his rumbling voice. It's all there, and it kind of calls you back to the real world, the nature and the reality of the physical world and sort of allows you to kind of escape a little bit this sort of weird fugue state that you've been in the last little bit. And as you approach the flames there at the top, the voices seem to sort of fade away to just barely a little shadow of a din, almost as if they're underground now. You arrive next to the flame and you can see a brazier and you can see that there are stones in it. And each of these stones is on fire, and it's what's making up the whole of this. And you remember, first Fallen, that you were able to just pick one out the last time you were here.
Suppose I shall do this again, and I reach into the fire and pick up one of these.
As you
flaming
pick it up, the voices grow louder again, but this time you realize a difference because they're not in your head. You can literally physically hear these voices, and they're getting louder as if they're underground and sort of going up. And as you hear this, first of all, you remember something you'd forgotten. You remember the thing. And from behind you emerges out of the sand this grotesque, many tentacled thing. And all over the tentacles of this thing are mouths. And all these mouths move. And it's from here that you're hearing all these voices that you recognize from your past are just emanating out of the various mouths all over this thing's body. And this sort of bulbous brain behind it is sort of squeezing, and every time it squeezes, the voices come out, and then it sort of takes an area and squeezes, and all these voices come out, and the tentacles come out from under the sand and attack you as these painful memories become physically manifest. So you were
Alrighty then.
battle.
Shadesong will look at Oathwind when first of all and says battle and just kind of smile a little bit.
so
I don't think Oathwind is actually paying any attention to Shadesong in the moment. Up until this point, you probably all would have heard like a soft humming coming from him, like a campfire type tune, one that he and Jadewin probably had heard one of the people of their followers sing, trying as passing the time, something that he could use to like focus himself away from the pain of everything going on around them. And I think up until the moment that this monster is revealed, like Oathwind has been somewhat lost until he sees the monster and then immediately comes into focus and realizes what's about to happen. It feels purposeful again.
El Initiativo.
Oh, that. I guess I should have the character sheet open.
I have your character sheet open.
I've got it too.
Got a solid 7.
Solid.
16 for the paladin.
You know you have a bonus, right, Jadewin, on your... No, who is it? One of you has an item that gives a...
I do.
Okay.
It converts my -1 to a +1.
Okay. First Fallen?
I got a 9.
Shade?
Exciting.
Nice. So you're all taken aback a little bit by this thing as it emerges and seeing all the mouths and hearing all these voices sort of emanating and sort of coming out of it, except for Oathwind, who, protector that he is ready to go, and you and the creature go at the same time. So I will allow you to go first, if you will, Oathwin. This thing is clearly attacking you psychically, just so you know.
Okay.
But there are spores that are emanating from it that feel and look like they're probably necrotic in what's the word I'm looking for? Nature.
Yeah. In unnature, as it were.
Nature.
This is supernatural. This is a supernatural vibe we got.
This is not normal. They're not normal about this here.
Nope, not a dang on thing. All right, Oathwin, without hesitation, moving on pure instinct, just lunges forward at this creature's shield at the ready, and drawing his sword in a smooth motion, and starts attacking immediately without question.
As you approach it, you can see that there's like what looks like sort of hair around it. It's like just a mass of writhing tentacles, and all of them have little mouths too, and this is where the sound of children's voices are sort of coming from. And the center with that sort of white orb there, when you look into it, you realize it's like all these faces of these ghosts that are trapped in there, and that sort of come in. As you approach it, you see faces that come up that you recognize: your mother, your father, friends of yours from back in the day that are just sort of look like they're trapped in there. And you hear their voices emanating from this thing, and there's this stench that comes from it of like old carrion, old dead rotten meat that just sort of wafts over you.
Lovely. First attack, I guess. That's a shitty 12, which I assume misses.
Oh yeah.
And then following it up with a 15.
That misses also, unfortunately.
All right.
You all have, by the way, you all have one inspiration, just so you know.
Okay.
That's it.
Let's see. Yeah, that's all I can do right now.
No problem. And then at 16, it gets to go. Everyone make a intelligence save, please, as the voices just sort of swell up and envelop all of you and start bringing you all this grief and this sadness and whatnot from all these different voices. Yep.
My apologies. There is one I was just realizing I can do this as a bonus action. I thought it was a full action, but it is not. I can use my Celestial Revelation to manifest a Shroud of Radiance.
Okay.
So as Oathwin is charging up, this shroud of light just radiates from everywhere around him, focusing mostly from the eyes and the mouth, shedding bright light around him. And at the end of my turn, he will take 3 radiant damage.
Okay. He takes it. It seems to hurt him more than it should, as some of the tentacles start to explode and kind of burn in the radiant light that you're emanating. All right, yeah, so intelligence saves, everyone. You're looking for 15s.
And you had anyone in proximity of me has a +5 bonus to that.
Okay, so you're all in it, so go for it. Add that +5 bonus to your...
I also
Knowledge.
used an advantage. So that would be 20 with his bonus.
Perfect.
Yeah, got a 21.
Okay.
I also got a 20.
17 with that advantage. Sorry, with the +5.
With the-
Actually, you know what? I don't think Shadesong's going to be close to you. I think he's going to not be close to this fucking light
Okay.
as much as possible. So I got a 12 then.
Okay. So we'll say you're like sort of around there. All right. So if you made the save, you are not crippled for a turn by its power. However, you will take half the damage from this attack. It is psychic damage. So if you have some sort of defense against that, you can apply it. It is. So 17 psychic damage divided by 2 if you made your save. And if you have some sort of protection against psychic, you can apply it. Tentacles rush out of the ground beneath your feet and attack each of you. So on Oathwind first. 15 will likely miss you, Oathwind.
That misses.
So there's 2 attacks coming for each of you. On Jadewin, a 1 and a 4. You get lucky. On Shadesong, the best I got is an 18. Does that hit?
Yeah.
Okay,
does.
so 1 attack hits on Shadesong. And on First Fallen, I got a nat 20. And then 15. Does 15 hit First Fallen?
No.
All right, so the nat 20 will hit. All right.
And that 20 will hit.
So, Shadesong, you take 11 necrotic damage as this sort of shadowy tentacle slaps against you, and all these little black particles of necrotic rot just kind of cover you and sink down. If you have any sort of protection against necrotic damage, you can apply it here. You will take First Fallen the full damage, which is 20 plus another 13 necrotic damage, so 34 necrotic damage.
34?
34, yeah. As these this tentacle and one of them kind of wraps around your throat, and you can feel it start to sort of slip in under your armor and almost like start slipping under your skin and infecting you as you're fighting. Yeah, same thing if you have protection against necrotic damage. So that's 16. After that, at 9, First Fallen, you get to go. So this tentacle is kind of wrapped around you, but it's not really impeding you. You can still sort of move and make your attacks if you want. It's just kind of there, and it's kind of digging into your, sort of trying to meld into you.
I will, I may have forgotten this creature with the effects of being in this realm and the other. I will move forward next to Oathwind and then attack with my Great Axe +3. First attack is an 18.
That hits.
The damage is 16.
And it's
Nice.
what is it? Is it?
It's slashing.
Okay.
It's a +3 axe, but
Nice, no problem. You hit it, it kind of screams, and the mouths start like, and the tentacles near you, especially when it's around your neck, starts whispering in your ear in the voice of your wife, and it's telling you to, come to bed and lay down and just come to sleep with her. And
so I will make a second attack. Dirty 20. With that one, I want to try to cut this tentacle off of me as I attack it.
no problem. So give me the damage, and you'll be able to do just that as this tentacle starts to whisper. Rah! And you hit it directly.
It is where'd it go? 18 damage.
Okay, nice.
Slashing.
As you cut the tentacle, it sprays all this black necrotic goo, and as this goo just sort of dissipates into the Oathwind's aura of radiance, you see it kind of burn and kind of all just sort of explode in the air as it gets just completely vaporized by the holy radiousness of Oathwind. Anything else for you?
For now, I think that will be it. I'll just shout out to the rest of them. I suggest we get close to Oathwind. He has an aura about him that is extinguishing the beasts, it would seem. And that will end my turn.
It's just his natural charisma. Jadewin.
Yeah, it's just his...
Jadewin will absolutely take a step closer to her brother, and the sounds of these voices have really shaken her, and so she'll just sort of immediately put her hand up and cast Guiding Bolt at this big boy.
Go for it.
And a 19 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, and then for damage. No, that's upsetting. That's 15 radiant damage.
Okay, that's good. That doubles
Nice.
up on him.
And there's also the aura of radiant energy now, so next attack gets advantage.
Awesome. So you
Sweet.
hit him with that bolt of light, and it really does a lot of damage. Like tentacles explode off of him, and you can see a huge chunk of its flesh just sort of burning in the light and kind of crumpling in. And you would say that he's probably bloodied. Shady, Slim Shady.
You see Shadesong sort of like kind of got all fucked up with this, and is like has this wry, really cold smile on his face, and he is gonna kind of look at the rest of everybody kind of huddled around this light, and just, I wonder how death works here. And he's gonna try to use Shadesong on the creature.
All right.
And
So, yep, good.
you gotta tell me if it works or not. Because
What do you do? How does
Shadesong
it
is-
work? What happens?
I think Oathwind would be one of the only ones that has ever heard this, like, around, but it is a sort of low percussive, very simple, basic, not really melody, like the bass line of a song almost, but it's filled with like cacophonous whispers and like scratches, and you can hear like unpleasant memories, like shame, and just it just is. I don't know how to like visualize a sound, but it's like all of that, but surrounding this gaping void. Like there's this emptiness underneath it.
As he starts to sing this song, you can see the creature sort of kind of seize up and sort of look at him, and the creature suddenly sort of moves all its tentacles, and you can see there are like dozens of these tentacles under the ground sort of move, and then as the song reaches its apex and he sings the final note, the creature literally just lights out, falls down, does not move anymore. All the voices stop. This thing starts to slowly decompose and be absorbed into the ground at your feet.
Oathwind kind of steps back and turns and looks at Shadesong. I thank you.
I was half expecting that not to work. You're welcome. Does anybody else miss those voices?
And say that I perhaps, yes, but I'm glad that they're gone.
As I said, this place is just built to destroy us. I understand what you mean by that, Shadesong. There is some warmth to it. But it's not here to warm us, it's here to break us apart.
Then let us make haste and try and leave this place behind. And
Of course.
Oathwind will let go of his radiance, lingering it for just one moment before it dissipates, feeling whole in that moment, and then sighing heavily as he looks over at Jadwin.
I don't wish to do that again.
Come then, Fallen. How do we do
Back to
this?
serendipity. I have the stone.
As you head out of the city of Lament, each of you will hear very faintly from very far away, "We miss you." And that last voice will echo off into nothingness. When you walk out, Serendipity is standing by the side of the road. Pretty freaky in there, huh? That's why I don't go in.
Or maybe you don't go in because no one actually misses you.
What do you hear from that place?
Let's not dwell on those things. Come on. We have ways yet to go.
I like this one. And I point to Othwin.
It's
I'm
colorful.
very glad that you like me, fallen one. Is that all right to call you?
It is probably the best term. I was the first one to ever feel Shadesong's death, I guess. The first one to be here in a realm of this place, of this sort.
There are many worlds out there. The one that you come from, Eld, well, someone's got to start the whole thing. And first here was the first living thing to die on that world. Very long time ago.
Not the first. Not the first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shade, but I am the first.
You are the.
You mean the first to die at Shadesong's hand?
The first
Is that what I am?
From El
Is that what I'm understanding?
and from Shadesong.
Both. Yep.
You are correct on both terms in that sense. You look confused, Shade. You don't remember taking everything from me? As I peered over into a brand new valley, seeing the beauty of El, admiring it? Or are you confused that I'm the first?
I remember now. I remember you were not the first death that I wrought. You were the first thing after. You were the first thing I saw after she died. You were in my way. You were irrelevant, and it does pain me slightly to say that now, but no, I killed another before you.
I'm sure time will explain more of this. And my memory sometimes as well, it catches you. Let us continue. We must go to the drought, the orchard.
As you continue on your way, you eventually see what appears to have been at once an orchard, but the trees are all dying and desiccated and dry, and there's not a single leaf left on them. As you approach, there's a figure on its knees in the middle of this dust bowl with tools, and there's a few little patches of dry grass around it, and it's very actively digging into the ground. It looks like it's trying to do some gardening. As you approach this figure, you can see that as it kneels there, it appears to have been flayed. Its skin is raw red from the sun and the wind and the dryness. The bones are starting to show on its chest from where the skin has just dried out and sort of just started falling away. And this pitiful creature is just digging in the sand, and it's got a bunch of tools. There's a little bucket, a little thing, and a patch to dry, and it's just digging and planting some seeds, and then it reaches over to its little water thing and starts to pour, and this sand comes out of it, and it's like, no, just one, and it keeps digging as you are approaching. Serendipity says, "That's new."
I do not remember this one.
A sad story, no doubt. Perhaps he knows where we can get some, what did you call it? Water of drought? Who comes up with
Yes.
someone demented?
Yes, I will approach.
Just one.
Excuse me.
Just one. I just need one. Just one.
Just one. I see you have a watering tin.
Yeah, I do, but I have no water. There's never water. Listen, and he grabs the tin and he shakes it, and you can hear water sloshing inside. Can you hear? And then he turns it upside down, and sand comes pouring out. There's never any water, yet there's always water, and he sloshes it again.
My mind and my memories.
I just need the one flower to grow. Just one.
I think that is the waters of drought.
As you're saying that, you see this thing looks right past you and is looking up at Shadesong. Master, you returned for me. Master, and he tries to get up, but when he does, he's been kneeling there for so long that you hear the bones and the skin just crack as he kind of tries to get up, and he really can't. He kind of falls forward, and then he kind of starts crawling. He's using his little dig-in tool to kind of pull himself, and he's just dragging himself towards Shadesong. Master, I don't deserve this mercy. You are too good to have come back for your betrayer, and starts kissing your feet. You're very muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
Oh. Does this look anything like who I would understand my betrayer to be?
No, it doesn't. However, when he's approaching you, you can see on his back your symbol was there. Like
Where
it's
I put it.
part of it's gone now, and it's kind of, there's only kind of like a little bit of it left, but you can clearly see that it was there. But I know who you're thinking of, Anduil, but it really doesn't appear to be Anduil. I am sorry. I did what you asked. I did. I brought them to their tomb. I put them to sleep. But I knew that it would be a long time before you came back, and he starts to kind of try to pull himself up by pulling up on your thing. And when he looks into your face, you can see his eyes completely pale white, just dry, desiccated, like his eyelids don't even close anymore. It's just so dry, right? His eyeballs are just so dry. And you recognize him as your other mage, Archeator, the one that you had sent to put your 4 knights asleep. Thank you for coming back for me, Master. I only tried to live up to your legacy, to sow unending death. But I couldn't. There was so many every time. Even when I used the disease. It would kill hundreds, thousands, and there are always more. The sound of babies being born all the time, ringing everywhere, just life sprouting all the time, unending. He kind of collapses.
Maybe you can ask your disciple about that canister.
Shadesong is kind of looks down. You are forgiven if you give me that canister.
He looks up at you. He goes, there's no water in that canister. I am forgiven. I am forgiven.
Yeah. And I will reach down and take the canister, and you'll hear. I want to cast Shadesong again. I want to use it again on this creature.
So, Jadwin, as all this is sort of happening, as Shadesong goes around and goes for the canister and picks it up, you can see a tear start to roll down the face of this creature. And it's rolling slowly, just one single tear. And it looks like it's about to fall off his face.
I'll go and catch it.
It lands on your finger, and you have just this little tiny tear on the tip of your finger. And this thing looks up at you. I killed so many, but could not even grow a single flower. And it collapses on the ground.
Does he look like he's dead?
It doesn't look very strong.
Oh boy. I'll just sort of on instinct do the same as I attempted to do for my brother, and just put a hand out and try to heal him in whatever way I can.
Othwin will step forward and place a hand on Jadwin's shoulder. Sister, no. That would be more torment.
You're right.
Shadesong nods at you and says, yes, let's let this go.
The canister in your hands turning to dust. And all the little patches of grass are also turning to dust, and slowly his body also starts to turn to dust, and the wind just sort of sweeps through and carries all of it off into the trees of the orchard.
Not quite how I remember it. Keep that drop safe, Jadwin. Don't let it evaporate.
The eyebrow.
It's gone. It was.
It's still on your. It's still
there.
Still there.
You're like, no, it's gone.
You're like, no.
Ew. It's still there. It's clinging on to the tip of your finger.
If I turn my hand, does it roll at all? Or
Yeah, it
just
rolls,
stick?
but it kind of rolls around your finger and then comes back up and then just sort of moves around. It kind of looks like a bead of mercury or something. It just sort of moves slowly around your finger. It stays there.
That's what we were looking for, Fallen One?
You have to forgive me. Some of my memories. I don't belong anywhere here, and it's been destroying my memories slowly. It's something to do with it. It's now attached to you, though, Jadewood. Just keep it safe.
This place has a tendency to have lessons for the people who traipse through it, and perhaps this one was not meant for First Fallen as it was the first time, but for someone else.
I would have to agree with that.
Oathwind momentarily looks over at Shadesong and as if he wants to say something, but bites his tongue and looks back at the short little old lady, trying with every effort to actually appear as though he cares, about her in her state, even though part of him is really just frustrated by the whole situation. What is next on our list then, if we must escape this place so quickly?
Well, I gather we have to head into the Dreaming Peaks.
Yes.
The
We have to open the door. Yeah, get used to it.
This place could use a whole makeover. Get some fresh paint here, new names. Absolutely, I'm with you. But
you're not in charge here. You're gonna make the names, yada yada.
How did you know? Your mind, sharp as a boulder. First of all, I want to say thank you to Vamp Wickman, which while we were playing earlier, bought everyone an advantage. So all of you have an advantage. Thank you so much, Vamp.
Thank you.
Woohoo. Thanks,
Thank you,
Vamp.
Vamp. Thank you so much.
And Vamp was
Gonna
one of the
need
people, along with Miko, just as a little footnote, Vamp and Miko are two of the people who are responsible for this gardener being here.
Yep.
Awesome.
This
They
is
did
your
this.
doing?
This is
Hey, me, not Oathwind.
no, somebody else.
I will own that as a player.
Yes. Although, if I recall, neither of our characters actually did any damage to him.
No, but you brought the
That's why he
bomb.
looks so whole here. He was just a very complete person.
You brought the bomb to him. Let's just say. Let's put it that way. As you approach, then the foot of the mountains, and you see this archway that looms over you. Serendipity says, "Now listen to me. This is very important. As we head into the Dreaming Peaks, towards the Bridge of Respite, you cannot look behind you. If you turn around and look behind you, you will never be able to leave this place. It is very important that at no time you turn around and look behind you, no matter what happens. If you do, you will remain here forever. And there will be nothing anyone can do about it. If you want to leave, focus on the exit. It's the only way to make it through." That's right, Beth. And as you start walking through the mountains, you will walk for unknown amounts of time. As you're walking, Serendipity tells you, now, when you return to your world, time moves differently there. You can't expect to find it exactly the way you left it. Time will have moved on. I can tell you, neither of you have been forgotten. But it's not exactly the same world that you left behind, so be prepared for this. Eventually, as you go through the mountains, climb up ever higher, past where the smoke from the burning fields hovers, and even higher, you eventually arrive at this giant bridge that spans the crags below it, and at the other end of it is a door, and you can see the symbols around the door. The door itself looks very different than everything here. Everything here is kind of very oppressive and all and kind of falling apart. It's covered by that sort of ashy white sand. On the other side there is light, and on the other side you feel a sense of calm, a sense of restfulness, a sense of respite, really, emanating from the other side. Unfortunately, as you clamber up the last few steps and arrive near the bridge, you see standing at the other end this figure. They're standing about halfway through the bridge. It's horse hooves sort of skittering a little bit nervously as it stands in the middle of this very narrow bridge. And as you turn the corner, you hear Serendipity say, we were too slow. Lamash, how are you? Long time no see. And as you move forward on the bridge, this being that is there says, Serendipity, you've come far enough. You know the rules. Those who come here are not allowed to stay. A few lucky ones. You can't tell because he's wearing a faceplate, but obviously staring at First Fallen. A few lucky ones slip through the cracks, but there are some for who luck is not important or simply too big for us to allow to go. Serendipity turns towards and goes, yeah, this is not good. She turns back towards Lamash and says, surely you will let those of us who came here of our own volition step through. We cannot stop you from leaving, Shadow King, and we care very little for those two, pointing at Jadwin and First Fallen. However, the lords below demand their fair share. Of the other two, only one will be let go, but the other must remain here. We will do you the favor of deciding who will stay and who will go. But one of you, anyone but you, crooked little one of you must stay here as tribute, as payment, so that the other three may go. It's up to you to decide. He plants his glaive, Kunk. I will wait.
Oathwin, so Jadwin will walk up to you. And she just looks at you. You can see that her eyes are just barely glossed with tears. Oathwin, your singular devotion mirrors my own. And look what it did for me. I gave everything to the cause, and I still failed. And that is my legacy. That was my moment of life wasted. So, brother, you need to go back, but don't choose the same path. And then she'll look over to First Fallen. You have family to go back to?
Probably not anymore. I'm going to be very blunt here. You three should go. My task looking over at all this did something that was needed. It may not have been just for me. It may not have been right. But perhaps serendipity made a point in connecting all of us and how things connect. I just ask that you do one favor for me and bury my body correctly. Bring it to my...
be here.
If you bury me correctly, I feel that maybe something will move on. I've already been fighting this place for so long, I'm losing all of my memories. Like, like before you even arrived into my cave, Jadwin, I was content. And then, of course, everything comes back at you, you know, your memories, your feelings. Seeing Shadesong and reconnecting with that. But if everything has happened in this sense and now there's something greater, you three are more needed than I am. Your story should continue. Your paths aren't complete. Good game, Serendipity. I see what you've done here.
I have done nothing. I'm
Clerical errors.
Serendipity simply happens.
Take my body.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just take my body to my people. They will know what to do with it. Take my weapon as well. It is in my body still.
Oathwin, seemingly very disoriented from all of this, is doing his level best just to focus on what Jadwin has said. And he hears the first fallen kind of off to the side, and it just causes even more consternation on his face. And finally, he just sighs heavily and turns to Shadesong and stares at him for what feels like an eternity. The first time, for the first time during this entire adventure so far, and stares at him with a combination of sadness and remorse and confusion, and says to him, "If you were to return, Dodd, what would you do? You know that she exists now. Whether you wish to believe it or not is the question. What would you do if you went back? Would you continue your rampage across all of the world, demanding that everyone else pay for your suffering?"
Shadesong starts to form like features, and you can see like a tiny bit of color come into his eyes. You can see facial hair start to form a little bit. He just kind of frowns at you. Life still remains. I am here. I am dead. But life remains. I thought that for me to get here, there could be no more life. I woke up with this gift to bring emptiness into places where once were something, life. And There's not an amount of life that I could consume that would. If she's still there, I don't know how I could face her. Because I didn't need to. As it turns out, I did not need to kill everything in order to die myself. No.
I will never understand why you did what you did.
He just
But
looked at you.
I think perhaps I can teach you to understand how to deal with loss. At the very least, in such a way as to know that everyone, every living soul in existence experiences loss at some level. And it is up to us as individuals to decide how best to proceed. And if anything about all of this can be learned on, it is from him. And Oathwind points up at the first fallen and says, he understands the natural order of things better than I think anyone has ever explained it to me, and certainly he understands it better than you. Learn from his example here. I think this... I thought that I would be fulfilling my life's devotion in ending your rampage, Shade. And yet, now all I see is that it was another step towards a new beginning. That my purpose is not yet fulfilled, as I don't think yours is either. And certainly, and he turns to Jadewin, certainly not yours either, sister. Fallen One, I honor you this day as you honor us. I make an oath to you that your body will be returned to those that you cared for and those that love you. And I will see to it, without question, that your body is laid to rest by all the proper rites and rituals as your people deem fit. And any that would oppose me in that shall suffer the consequence.
Thank you, Othwin. You all deserve this chance to go forward with your stories. Clearly, there's something out there worse than even Shade. But looking here, Shade is not as bad as he appeared to be, or what my memories made of him. Take this chance, Shade, and listen to Othwin. Take his teachings. Find the one that you thought you had dispensed of. For I was the first, not her.
Shadesong is gonna look at he's going to look at Oathwind and just like he's still his eyes are darting around now, and like he's still figuring stuff out. Like there are a lot of pieces that for countless years, hundreds, thousands of years, like were not falling into place. And he's going to look at you, Oathwin, and say, "You are so good at making promises. Would you make me a promise?"
This day or year or however long we're spending on this journey is something I could never possibly have comprehended the day that I woke up and swore that my blade would find your heart. And it just keeps getting stranger. Looks over at Jadewin almost as if pleading for guidance.
I can't tell you what to do. This is... I've seen that the imbalance has permeated to Penumbra. I know that it's a product of what's happening in Eld. I think that there's no... There's no greater deed that you could do for the living than to ensure that the balance between life and death holds meaning. Life is beauty and joy and warmth, and I don't think anybody, and she'll look sort of to Shadesong, I don't think anybody gets to decide if the pain and grief gets to outweigh the joy. I can't tell you what to do.
You just did. We make decisions for ourselves, as she just put. Although, in this moment, I question whether or not I would be capable of... No, I am capable. As the Fallen One seemed to indicate, I'm very good at taking oaths. So yes, I will make an oath to you, Shadesong. What of it?
He's gonna look up at this black sun, and just kind of like, you see some of the pale fade a little bit. It's a little bit of color that comes back into some of the folds of his skin. And he looks back down at you and he says, will you find her? And will you tell her I'm sorry I can't be with her? I can't. I'm tired of... I'm just tired. But it was all pointless back there. None of the deaths that I wrought or brought upon the world of the living made any effect. And if there is to be balance, I think I've brought enough destruction out there for there to be a little bit more light for a time. But here, he looks at Serendipity. Here there is need for balance. And he's going to walk over to the First Fallen and look right up at you and say, you need to trust me when I say I know grief and I know pain, and for what it is worth, I wish it wasn't you.
I understand, and I at this point feel the same. You should return back, though.
No.
So he looks over at Oathwin and Jadewin and I don't know what I would do returning back.
Whatever you want. You're not meant to be here. As much as anybody's meant to be anywhere.
Oathwin turns to Serendipity and kind of kneels down to look at her earnestly and in the eye and says, "Clarify something for me. You seem to be the one that knows the most in this moment, and frankly, I don't want to go over and talk to the half-horsemen. This fallen one, he would not be returning to the place that I call home, would he? He would be returning to whatever semblance of an afterlife is for his people, yes?"
He would go to the hall of his ancestors, yes, and see those who came before him and some of the ones who came after.
And if that one, and Oathwin kind of points in the direction of Shadesong, if he remains, will that assist in this endemic issue that Jadewin and you were discussing earlier?
It's difficult to tell. Down here, there's little he could do. I don't think that his presence here is what will ultimately play out and affect what is happening in the penumbra. But if the man wants to rest, I say let him rest.
Oathwin stands and walks over to Shadesong, almost in the same kind of aggressive posture from when they were about to engage in battle before they both slew each other. Has that consternation and seriousness upon his face. Do you deserve rest? Have you earned it?
He's gonna kind of look down and take a deep breath and look back up at you. No. I don't, but she deserves a respite.
Oathwin is going to walk over to Jadewin, and in a moment of unexpected adoration and love, reach out and embrace her. Full chest, heart in your throat, clutching.
Jade,
Love you, sister.
hasn't felt this in quite a while. And I love you.
Oathwin is kind of mulling over things in his mind as he's holding on to her. And he says, "You never failed. Don't ever think that." And as he releases her and he starts walking towards the half-horsed masked demon thing, kneels down, or not kneels, kind of leans over to whisper into Serendipity's ear and says, I hope that you're as clever as you seem to be, and that all of this is going to work as my very confused mind is slowly knitting things together. And then he just walks straight at the horsed man. He, understanding that this place is not physical and it's kind of not true, but more to the gesturing of it, he tosses his shield over the side of the bridge. He tosses his sword over the other side of the bridge and walks up to him, looks up, and says, pointing back towards the first fallen, that one is claiming that he will remain. Gestures towards Shadesong. That one wishes to go into the penumbra. She and I have work to do. Does this suit your needs and your aimant? Or is there anything else that you demand, Hoofed One?
We're just glad you're not the one who's staying. And he backs up and clears the road.
He nods, starts walking back to Shadesong. As he turns away from the hoofed man, all of the rest of you are able to see just this expression of relief, almost like, type of expression over his face as he starts walking back to all of you. Firstly, walking up to the fallen, reaching up a hand, and then reaching it higher to clutch. And he whispers, I will meet my oath, I promise you.
I trust you.
Glaring down at Serendipity, he says, it better work. Walks over to Shadesong and extends a hand forward to Shadesong.
Song, this is the first time. He nods. And he reaches out a hand. Clasps you by the forearm.
Oathwind grabs onto Shadesong's hand tightly, almost to the point of causing what would be painful, and then grabs his wrist with his other hand, and you can feel some of Oathwind's radiance. And in your soul, in this moment, you can feel him asking for something, and you hear him whisper, give me a piece of you to give to her when I find her.
You hear, I don't know if anybody else hears this, but you hear like this like almost mirthful chuckle. Emptiness is the best part of me. And he sighs, and you feel this like this sort of peaceful, calm void, like a little kernel of nothing, but not in a bad way, like in a way that, like, if you've ever had like pleasant intentional solitude, that kind of nothing sort of just makes its way into you.
Oathwind nods and turns back towards Jadewin and just extends a hand out to her, as if he wants to lead her somewhere.
Reach out and take your hand.
he starts leading the two of them down the path to where he believes the exit to be, not knowing what the fuck is going on, because he really doesn't actually understand any of this. He's just grasping at the semblances of what he thinks he understands, and is hoping that his faith is holding true. He whispers to Jadwin, "It feels so good to have purpose sometimes," as he just tries to lead her past whatever path that is supposed to take them back.
You will walk across the bridge and the doors on the other side will open. Serendipity will say, "I knew we didn't need that frickin' fire and that frickin' water."
Just pass it. I just passed it to you. Just, I guess you don't need this. I don't know what I was doing.
Luke Skywalker style lobs it over her shoulder.
I still have a drip of tear on me.
Yeah.
Is this like permanent?
Yeah, you're like looking at it and yeah, it's kind of staying there.
As you guys are crossing over, the last thing I will say is when you go back, breathe in the mountain air, see the flowers for me, enjoy my tree.
We will, my friend. We will.
I don't know if this place will hold me forever. I already got out once, almost twice.
Serendipity comes to you, first of all, and then takes off a little piece of wood from around her belt and hands it to you. She goes, "You won't be here long, and where you're going, you'll need this." And she gives you back your name.
Thank you. I hope you lead more down a crazy path and help them out, and perhaps you can save your realm.
I'm going for a foot bath. My feet are killing me. First thing, we're getting out of here. I'm going for a foot bath.
Where will you bring me to this place?
The other
They
Shadow
called it a
Kings are gonna-
spa day where I'm from.
The other Shadow Kings are going to kill me for bringing you back to Penumbra, so, you know.
Good.
As well.
What are they going to do about it? They're going to kill me?
Hanging out with you is kind of like dying.
Burn.
Some might say some of your jokes.
You hear the most earnest laugh that like it just like a and there's a hint of another like song in this laugh. You hear for just a moment at that, you hear this like from before all of this, you hear just like a whisper of what it was like when it was Liv and Dodd. Before anything had died, before all of it, before anything, you hear just like this ring of like the most primal joy. He like reaches out and like kind of tries to pat her on the head for a second and then just thinks better of it.
As you're in out to the doors, Serendipity will pull Jadwin aside a little bit and will say, "You know you're not supposed to be going back, right?"
I do.
Well, I'd been given leave to send 2 back, and if Shadesong's staying in Penumbra, I could possibly send you back, but it wouldn't be like it was before. Your body died when it should have died, and it no longer exists. You would be somebody else, but you'd be there, and you'd be alive.
I don't particularly care for I don't want to be the same person that I was, but I also feel like I deserve what I have down here. She'll just look over to Oathwin. I don't know what to do. I want to be alive. I want to be able to go see First Fallen's tree and feel the sun. But is that wrong? Tell me what to do.
In this moment, I'm going to be selfish. And I'm going to say that causes are irrelevant without a guiding light. And when I lost you, my cause followed darkness and was set upon to destroy that darkness, because that's all that I knew. And now I have a chance to redeem a cause against something even worse than darkness. And I very much need you at my side to do it. And we have tasks. We have so many tasks to get done. I need someone that I can trust. And you are the only person that I have trusted implicitly. I trusted Shadesong explicitly to a degree to do what he was doing because he was on his own path, similar to mine. And I think in this time, in this moment, you have suffered enough. You have paid your penance. Even if I disagree with your feelings on why that penance was necessary, I think that you have done it. You have done it better than I could have.
I would, I suppose I would like a chance to feel like I'm redeeming myself, to perhaps actually see the cause through to the end this time. And she'll take another step forward with you.
Oathwin kind of just glares at Serendipity for a moment, still not entirely trusting her and thinking that she probably can read his mind, whether she can or not. He's just thinking in his head, this had better fucking work. And he just turns with Jadwin to continue down the path.
So, as you all walk down that path, you will First Fallen turn back and head down the hill again. Perhaps the better to find your way here, perhaps not to wait too long. But we're definitely going to revisit at some point. Who knows what will become of Shadesong and Penumbra also. But sometime later, short little epilogue. I'm not quite sure how it happens, but you find yourselves, after walking out of this place, you find yourself, Oathwin, standing on a hill. There's snow, but the grass is peeking through in certain places. Over on the right, there are the ancient frost-covered bones of a giant with a sword sticking out of its chest. And coming up the hill, walking towards you, is a young woman, with dark skin and black hair, dressed in furs, as if she has just come from far in the north. And she is walking towards you. And somewhere in the desert, in a temple, Jadwin, you open your eyes for the first time in a long time, feel actual oxygen filling your nose and into your lungs. You smell the dust around you. You can touch things. There's a tangibility to everything around you. And as you're picking yourself up, you kind of get a feeling like you've been here for a very long time. All those years you spent in this other world sort of feel real now to you, as if you've been here and alone for so long. You hear down the corridor in another room a strange sound, and then the sound of someone gasping, and you walk around a statue behind which you were, and you see in a room in front of you a strange man. He looks very much like an Asir, but has no horns and has ash gray skin and is wearing a long red robe. And as you go, "Who are you?" he says with a very hesitant and confused voice. What does he say? Scusi?
Hello. We have a date. I'm here. Holy shit, it's been a long time.
And on that confusing note,
What?
on that confusing note,
Oh my God.
you'll have to go back and watch The Well to understand.
She comes back to life for the first time in a long time, and it's to this. So
She said it on a blind date.
yeah,
he's looking-
thinking things.
Listen, he looks like he's like, oh shit, what am I in for?
I'll explain everything later, but if you watch The Well, the end of The Well, you'll understand exactly where this is coming from.
Best blind date ever. Best blind date.
Blind date ever. You are, in fact, now the patron of this man. He is a warlock, and you are now his patron, in fact, from the end of The Well, but we'll explain all of that to you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. On this note, we will end this episode of Shadesong. We had some great raids here in the last few moments. Phoenix Iwaki came in. We also had Chaotic and Ryder, who just popped in. I might have missed some on the way. Thank you so much. Dungeon Mr. Ty is here. Thank you so much, everyone that stuck around with us, came to watch this. We love you so much. Let's go around. I had some amazing role play tonight. Fantastic role play from this incredible bushel full of talent that is here tonight. Allow me to allow them to introduce themselves once more to you. Please, Beth, if you would kick it off for us.
I would love to. That was certainly a ride. I loved every minute of it. I'm Beth. You can find me on social media at Beth Masco. Check out the upcoming Monday Night Mayhem for the third and final installment of the fairy tale extravaganza that we have going on, and it's
Once Upon a Rhyme.
Yeah, it's something special.
It is.
Yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much, and you always deliver. So whenever you feel like coming back, I happen to know you're coming back. But that's another story.
She's gonna run a game sometime.
Secrets.
Oh no.
Yeah, you have to run the game too. That's another thing.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
We'll do it.
cool. Thank you so much for being here, Beth. Insomnia, my man, you brought it. Your first time here. You delivered, and it wasn't just the voice. It was you delivered, man. I'm so happy you came to play with us. I hope you had a good time. Tell us a little bit about yourself here, where we can find you, what's going on.
Yeah, of course. I'm Insomnia Night RPG. You can find me on Twitch at Insomnia Night RPG and Twitter as Insomnia_RPG. I'm just a tabletop RPG streamer. But we're a little crazier. Like we're just random and little run rampant. But yeah, no, had a great time being here. I hope to come back.
Yeah, I'll totally have
This
you
is-
back if you want to come back, man. I'm hoping
of
you do.
course, yeah.
First Ballin's a great character. Totally.
Yeah,
going to-
she like that. Yeah. Oh, it was fun. It was really fun being here. You provide a lot of good information though. So it's
Got to bill it, but you guys brought it. It was
yeah.
amazing.
It
Thank
was
you so much
fun.
for coming here and check
Of
out
course.
Insomnia's Twitch for all the shenanigans that are going on there. I always stop by. It's always a lot of fun, a lot of weirdness going on, and that's great. And
It's weird.
cowboy hats. The Scoos who you got to play. Not only have you played all the characters in this freaking campaign of mine, you got to play 2 tonight. Very briefly.
Two in one.
Tasty little treat. Tasty little treat. I saw where you're going. I was like, oh, all right, great. Yeah, I'm Scoozy. You can find me at Scooz News on Twitch, Twitter, etc. There's not a vast body of content you're going to be finding on any of those platforms, but I'm there. And yeah, it was a hoot, and I had no idea what was going to occur. Sure as shit did not know that my first character in Shadesong would be making an appearance with his patron date.
It's not as creepy as it sounds.
He pushed a
Maybe a little.
He pushed a button, went to a place he shouldn't have gone to, and got a new patron. And yeah, so it was an honest pleasure to play with all of you. That was so much fun. So thank you all, and thank you, Bleak.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Thank you so much for coming back and for bringing Shadesong for the first time to life. It was perfect. It was perfect. Finally, last but not least, the OK's GM, Miko. Miko, thank you so much for playing there. Tell us a little bit about you, what you got going on, what's happening.
Oh, I'm just me. The OKS GM on all of the socials, usually with underscores separating the words. You can find me mostly here on Guild Superior, producer. Monday Night Mayhem is the place that I get to actually help bring people like Beth to your screens, and they are amazing. All of the people on the screen now have been amazing. Absolutely loved every second of this. I do D&D streaming, AI art, homebrew stuff. I have my own homebrew world called Eastera. Check out my Linktree link if you're at all interested, and feel free to hit me up on the Discords or the socials. I'd be happy to chat about all things nerdery if you would like. Yeah. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Great show tonight, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Miko. And we're going to see you next week on the last Shadesong.
Yes, I will be here.
Well, pulling the pin on this thing. Thank you so much for hanging out, being here with us. Thank you to all the viewers. Look, we got a ton of stuff coming on. Sunday, we have the finale of our 8-part Blade Runner campaign that I'm doing. It's going to rock. It's going to be totally crazy. Creep show in there. Holy DM Dave. It's going to be a beautiful ending to a crazy story. Monday, we have Kevin Games' finale of, feels like we're finishing a lot of stuff. I guess we are in some ways, of his Once Upon a Rhyme, which has been absolutely fantastic. One of the best games we put on here this year, which Beth is in also. On Tuesday, we have Uncle Dave and the Greyhawk gang returning for more shenanigans. We totally shed the bed last week and almost got killed by a bunch of gnolls. You know, that's how we roll. It was a lot of fun. On Wednesday, we have New Varden, brought to us by Dungeon Mr. Ty, bringing his home world here. That's going to go into publication very soon. Fresh new world, very fun, very unique, with a bunch of great players in there also. And then finally, next Thursday, the finale of Shadesong, the first season, which will be right here. It'll be the last one. So there's a lot of stuff ending, but it's just so we can bring you more stuffs in the new year. I'm Bleakseason. You can find me at the Bleakseason on the Twitters, as well as visit my website, bleakseason.com, where you can find all sorts of awesome Shadesong stuff. Thank you so much to Andy, my producer, here tonight. And we are going to raid. I will poke Andy and get him to get ready to raid into our friend Darling Creepshow, who'll be in Blade Runner on Sunday. Darling is absolutely amazing. Give her some love when we come over there. Fire up those raid emotes. And thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for all raids. Thank you for everything. And we'll catch you next time.